Well, good afternoon. I've got another couple of members of the RHDR team here. Zak and Alex have joined me to talk about what it's like to be a driver on these wonderful locos. So, Zak, how are you doing first? All well?
Yeah, not too bad. Coping along with the change of life. Not quite the same as being at work, but hopefully in the very, very near future, we'll all be back at the railway doing what we love.
Well, yes, indeed. We all hope that. And what about Alex? How are you getting on, Alex?
Yeah, very well at the moment, thank you. I've still got my day job to go to, but at the meantime, I'm looking forward to going back to the railway and getting my hands back behind the regulator.
Yes, that does sound good, doesn't it? We've obviously seen a lot of videos today of the locos in action, which must make you feel quite excited about getting back when it's safe to do so. But I guess lots of questions have come in about why you wanted to be a train driver in the first place. Zak, do you want to start off?
It all kind of started from a young age when my family moved to Dymchurch. We were quite lucky that the railway our garden backed onto the railway, and always used to go down there and watch the trains go past, even when it was pouring with rain, sleet, thunder, anything, you'd find me at the bottom of the garden. And that kind of started it for me, really. And then I used to go down to Dymchurch, watch the trains on the platform every day, and that was pretty much it. It was in the blood from there on in, really.
And do you remember those days when you were young? Does it bring back memories when you're driving now and you think, oh gosh, I remember this all those years ago?
It's quite funny because every time I'm driving and I go past my house, obviously I wave because my mum and everyone's still there, but you always just picture yourself as a small child just standing at the bottom of the garden, and you used to think, one of these days I'm going to do that, and now I do.
Indeed, indeed. And Alex, did you come through the same thoughts? Did you, as a youngster, know the railway very well?
Yeah, similarly. So I started coming down with my family back when I was a wee kid, and yeah, we sort of came down once, twice a year. You know, we'd always come for gala day, double header day, all the things like that. And yeah, from there, just once I grew up a little bit more, I just kept coming down, and then thought, I'm coming down here so much, I might as well put my name into volunteer. So yeah, started from the bottom, aimed to be a driver, and got there in the end.
Yes, of course, because you're one of the volunteer team on the railway, and that must bring a lot of thoughts around your work-life balance, because obviously you're working hard as well, but you love to come down to the railway.
Yeah, that's it. It's a bit of a juggling act, really, trying to balance the time and everything else. But I managed to do it fairly well. I'm down most weekends just to come and help out wherever I can. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier for my sort of lifestyle if I can get down at least once a weekend and keep my hand in with all the brilliant people down there.
So you said you'd sort of work your way through the ranks to become a driver. How long did it take for you to become a driver?
Well, I started in 2012 and I finally got my driving license, if you like, back in 2018. So it was 6 years roughly. But that wasn't just driving, that was doing everything from the shops all the way through the signal boxes, diesel driving, dispatching. There's loads of different steps. So yeah, it took me about 2 years from diesel driving, from passing out as a diesel driver through to being a steam driver. So,
Okay, and
yeah.
was that the same for you, Zak?
Yeah, so like Alex said, you basically start off in the shops, and then you work your way up. So you do signal boxes, fire lighting, and then we do what we call medical, which basically means we go and visit the company doctor to make sure that we're all in fine health to be able to do the job in the first place. I actually joined the staff coming from a volunteer early 2015. I started my diesel training in the autumn of 2015, passing out on the diesel February 2016. And that was because I was doing it almost every day when I could. Obviously, if you're a volunteer, it can be a bit different. As with Alex, he's got a different job, different kind of lifestyle to me. So it would all depend on when he could get to the railway. Again, with steam, I was quite lucky. It took me 3 to 4 months, and that was because I was out doing it every day. But again, it can all depend on how much time you do to give it as a volunteer. But it is quite intense at times, and you do sit there sometimes and think, am I ever going to get this? And then all of a sudden it just comes to you.
I guess that gives you the motivation to continue, because it is hard work and long days, and they're not always bright sunny days across the marsh, are they?
No, no, it's not. I've definitely had my fair share of horrible weather when I've been out there, but I suppose when you're doing something you love, you just do it because you love it. You don't really, if you were to base the job on, oh, I'm actually going to go out there and I'm going to get really wet today, I don't think you'd enjoy it as much. But because you love the job, that's what makes you go out there and do it, whatever kind of weather.
So what in particular made you join the RHDR?
Well, as I say, I used to visit when I was a little kid. I used to go quite frequently for a ride on the railway. I'd always had an interest in it from quite a young age. And when I'd finished my apprenticeship many, many years ago, there wasn't any jobs left at the end of it. However, there was a seasonal job for me back in 2011, which saw me in the shops or mostly in the model exhibition. So that kept me going through that season. I then went out into the big world, and I had a job in a petrol station, which I absolutely detested. It was just not for me at all. And then luckily there was an opening for me to come back to the railway on a full-time role and go from there. And luckily for me, everything all worked out and I did what I wanted to do.
Excellent. That sounds quite a path into it, but one that you kept motivated all the way through and really wanted to do it, and you achieved that goal. But I guess every day is different at the railway, and we can obviously have a timetable and a plan, but things happen. Alex, can you just outline what a typical day is like? Because it's not just turn up, get on the loco and away you go, is it?
No, we've got a lot of stuff we have to do behind the scenes that most members of the public don't see. So even before we're ready to take a train in the morning, we've got to do an hour and a half of prep work. So that means when we get in, we've got to make sure the engine's safe for the day. We've got oil round and do all our checks, make sure everything's as it should be. The firelighter will have been in since 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning on a summer's day. So we're talking to them, making sure that they've got us enough pressure to at least get our day started right. You know, no holes in the fire, especially the front left corners. And then, yeah, we just tend to have a little sort of chat in the shed in the mornings as well. Speak to all the other drivers. It's a bit of our sort of chill out time in the mornings just before we get ready to go. And then, yeah, we'll bring her off shed. We'll take all our blankets off. Sometimes we'll clean out the superheater flues with the lance. That's always quite a good sight. You'll see a big plume of black smoke up in the middle of the air.
I suppose a lot of people might not realise that you do actually have blankets on the locos.
Yeah, so...
do you put them to bed?
Pretty much. We tuck them in at night and we take them out of bed in the morning. And, yeah, it's mainly to keep the engines clean, if anything else, because there's nothing worse than dust getting all over that beautiful paintwork. So, yeah, we tend to put blankets on at night, take them off in the morning, and try not to get them wet as you take them off in the pouring rain. So, yes, it's quite a challenging morning sometimes if you're running a little bit late or you need to be somewhere very quickly. You've got a little bit of shunting to do. But, yeah, it's all time management, really. And then once you've done all of that, we'll be on the set, ready to go, ready for our allotted departure time, hopefully. So. And
what sort of duration of a turn do you have? That's what you call it on the roster, a turn, isn't it? And how far do you travel on that, on an average?
So it can vary massively, really. The average, I would say, is 56 miles. So sort of 8 to 10 hour days. It all depends on the timetable we're running. There are some longer turns. I think there's a 73 mile turn in the pink. The diesel tends to do a bigger turn. But yeah, we tend to do anywhere between sort of 45 and 73 miles in a day. So just to put that into perspective, that's about a round trip. The 73 miler is a round trip and then a return from New Romney to Hythe and back. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does fill up a day quite quickly.
Indeed. And I guess then you've got the, as you say, there's a lot of work to get the locos ready, and then you've got to get them back in at the end of the day.
Yep. So the end of the day is then the bit behind the scenes that most of the public don't see. They're all on their way home or in their hotel room for the night. We then sit in the shed for about an hour and a half. We'll do all our cleaning work. So that is the paintwork gets cleaned again just at the end of the day. We'll go everything from the running plate down, so that's just under Southern Made's nameplates, as you can see behind you. Everything under there we will clean with paraffin and a little bit of oil, just to make sure nothing gets caught in any bearings, make sure it's nice and shiny for the next driver, basically. And then we'll go onto our smoke box sort of end, so that's the very, very front. We'll empty all that out, we'll tube the engine, and if the chimney liner needs doing, we'll declog the chimney liner with a chisel or a metal bar. And yeah, hopefully by then the fire should be out. If you've judged it right, you'll have run your fire down on your last trip, and your fire should be relatively dead by the end of that. And you should have a full bottle of water in the glass for the boiler. So yeah, it should be safe to leave your engine by that point. That's about an hour and a half later from when you get back on your last trip. So
yeah, so it's not just that actual driving part, you've also got that work to do afterwards. And we've got a clip here of you, Zak, in the engine shed. Let's just take a look at that. So what were you actually doing there, Zak?
So at the end of the day, as Alex was saying, you have quite a lot that you need to do. So you basically start from the top, polish all the paintwork down. You then go beneath the running plate, as Alex said, beneath the nameplate of Southern Made there, paraffin and oil, everything. In the body, you have a set of tubes in there, which you then have to clean through every day. And then you collect all the rubbish and soot that collects in the bottom of the smoke box out. You don't want that to rot the bottom of it away. And then what I'm actually doing there is cleaning the blower ring, which sits around the blast pipe, and it's got 5 or 6 holes in it, and that helps create more of a draw on the fire if you need it. But obviously, with anything in the smoke box, it gets quite dirty. So you turn the blower on in the cab, and then we have a wire brush, and then we just gently rub over the top of it, clearing any debris away from it, just so that it's all clear, ready for the next day.
Okay, thanks for that. I guess we've got a couple of minutes to go. So we are talking about gala, obviously. It's our virtual gala today, but it's not quite the same as a normal gala for you. And I guess that does get quite challenging with everything that's going on. Can you talk us through some of the challenging moments you've had?
With the gala, yeah, it's the date in the diary that everybody loves. Whether it be because we've got visiting engines, or it's just the fact that you might be on a non-stop or tender first running, whatever it is, anyone is always excited about it. I think the most challenging one I had was the 2017 Spring Gala. It was my first proper gala as a passed out driver, and it was also our 90th at the time. So it was quite a proud moment for me to be a part of that as well. And we were running through the night that specific weekend. 2 o'clock in the morning, there was parallel runs and things like that. And it was it's so challenging. As a driver, you're constantly looking at the timetable just to make sure you're on time. You're listening to the radio a bit more to make sure you're where you need to be, so you're not holding up another train. But it's not just the drivers that can find it challenging. It's quite a lot of people, the signalman, the controller, they need to know where everything is at a given time. Station staff, they need to be in the right place at the right time to assist passengers and likewise. But if you look past the fact that it can be quite challenging, at the end of the weekend, everybody might be really, really tired, but they've really enjoyed it. And hopefully everyone that's come to the railways really enjoyed it as well. And it's just the day that puts a smile on everybody's face.
Certainly creates a lot of memories, and obviously the 90th anniversary had quite a lot of memories. I remember myself being at Hythe Station at midnight for the midnight departure, and that was just an amazing scene to see so many people around at that time. And Alex, what tell us about your fond memories of galas?
So a lot of my galas so far, I've only been passed out on steam for 2 years now. So a lot of my galas are spent in the signal box at New Romney. And yeah, I'd agree. The 90th was one of those challenging galas. I was lucky enough to have the overnight shift. So I got to see the parallel run leave New Romney at 2 o'clock in the morning, which was something just beyond imagination. You wouldn't have thought that we'd be doing that ever in my sort of lifetime. But yeah, to watch the amount of people come out at 2 o'clock in the morning on a cold sort of 2 o'clock, just in the pitch black at 2 o'clock in the morning, just seeing people creep out of the shop, creep out of the side gate, all the staff coming in to have a little ride. Yeah, it was that was something to really remember. And of course, we have so much going on. We've got parallel runs every gala, and special triple-headed non-stops, quadruple headers, 28-mile non-stops. And being in Romney Box for all of that, it's a challenge, but it's also quite good to see all the very, very well-loaded trains just pass through, and yeah, seeing everyone having a good time, really.
There's a huge amount of action and variety of action going on, and I think we've experienced some of that today, if only virtual. I don't know whether you're allowed to have this, but have you got a favourite loco?
So for me, because I'm a volunteer, I tend to chop and change my favourite quite a bit. Like John Emmons, I've always been very fond of number 5. It just looks very... I think the mountains look good because they sort of scale down with more wheels. They look really good. So yeah, I think me and John are going to have a little fight over number 5 as our favourite, I think. And
Zach, for you?
There's only one for me. That's Northern Chief, I'm afraid. Sorry, John.
Well, and actually, you took the photograph that's on the postcard of Northern Chief that we have in the shops, haven't you?
Yeah, I think if anyone was to come across my phone and go through the pictures of it, there's more pictures of Northern Chief on there than there are anything else. I don't know if that's because I'm sad or what, I don't know, but yes, I've got quite a few on there.
So we're just about to run out of time. Tell me about your favourite day on the railway.
Really hard to pinpoint a favourite day I've had.
Is it not Christmas?
No. I'm too old to come sometimes. I can't do that. Although occasionally I do get the privilege of driving into the station.
Yeah. And for you, Alex?
I think it's a toss-up between Gala Day and Christmas Eve. There is something magical about Christmas Eve. Where be it Santa's coming in on his sleigh, you're seeing all the kids who are super excited for Christmas, and everyone's in a good mood around the railway. It doesn't matter what's happened during the day. Everyone is in a good mood around the railway. Everyone's happy, both for Gala Day and Christmas Eve. So I'd put them 2 days down as my favourite days.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for taking time out on this day to join us and chat to us here on the virtual gala. We hope you're going to stick around and answer some more questions on Facebook this afternoon. If people would like to post, keep posting your photographs and videos. We're all going to enjoy those as the finale of the afternoon gets ever closer, which is always the excitement of a gala day. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Alex. We'll see you soon.
See you later.
See you later.